welcome back to the K-Cup, episode 15. We're excited to be here today. Hope you are too. We got some great information for you today. We're calling this episode Lead Gen to Project Completion, the Business of Being a General Contractor. So what we're going to do this week is, this is a 5-part series that we're going to do, but we're going to give you the whole framework today, all 5 parts. We're going to touch the highlights of these 5 parts. John's going to explain how this process, unfolds from lead generation to project delivery and follow up at the end of the whole process. So we're excited about this. We think with the series, the 5-part series following this framework episode is going to be great for you if you're into being a contractor, whether it's residential or commercial. Even if you're just into business, this kind of framework still is really about client acquisition and how to manage a client, how to take them from being a lead and developing that lead into a client that you're going to do business with. And hopefully, if you do business with them well, you're going to have return client that's going to come back and continue to be part of your business ecosystem. So it's going to be a great show. Please stay tuned and check it out. So, John, let's go ahead and dive right into this. Let's go into part 1. Part 1's about business development and client acquisition. So maybe you can hit some highlights there about what we would be looking for in this part.
Okay, yeah. So what that looks like here at Kelly Construction is one, we lean into referrals. I mean, obviously everybody does, but referrals is something that we kind of got started on referrals, if you will. But as a young company or a new company, there really is not a ton of referral sources because you haven't done a lot of work.
Sure.
But fortunately, early on, I can think of a few people who had a little bit of confidence in me or just wanted to help me get going. And, I was able to get started on referrals, honestly.
Yeah.
The first real construction job that I ever did, and when I say real construction, I mean in the whole permitting, inspections, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be licensed. That came off of a referral. And, that's kind of how I got started. So referrals have been a big part of our business.
Mm-hmm.
They still continue to be so.
Yes.
And obviously that's grown through the years, right? Because early on there was really not a lot of people that could refer me because I hadn't done a lot of work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But 17 years later, that's not the case. I mean, we have plenty of referrals, and it is a big part of our business.
Absolutely.
The other thing is just networking. Go meet some new people. Go be a part of some groups or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's something that I did early on, but I didn't find a lot of success. Probably a little awkward for me. I was pretty young. Didn't feel like I had a lot to really offer. So
sure.
Kind of probably didn't take advantage of that like I should have. But it's something that we've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years, and really starting to focus on it a lot more now than we have in the past.
Yeah.
But I guess now we do feel like we have something to offer. So it's a little easier to go out and do those kind of things.
Makes the conversation a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, the last part of it another part of it is just digital marketing, just marketing in general. Like, honestly, as a young contractor, I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like marketing and running ads and doing different stuff would really generate work. I guess young and dumb, I just didn't really think that there was a place for it. I mean, I thought you had referrals, I thought you could go meet some people in a network or in an event or whatever, and get something that way.
Sure.
I just didn't see any way that you put an ad out there and somebody would call you, or you put something on your website, or even something like a podcast. Didn't really see that would do anything, but I was certainly wrong in that aspect. I mean, I know that we've been doing this for a while now, and it really changed our business in a big way, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So I think marketing's huge, digital marketing, just a big part of that first initial phase of generating leads, generating new customers, and so that's kind of the 3 areas that we really try to create some activity in that front end.
For sure. So, all right. So we did our lead gen, we did our marketing, we've got some leads, and now we have one that's gotten pretty warm, and we're determined to turn them into a client. So we're going to go to that next step, and the next step is project planning and preparation. There's a lot, obviously, in this, and several steps to this, but just give us the high notes again, and knowing that we're going to drill in on this
Yeah,
in
so I
our
mean,
series.
this is a big phase. This part two or whatever you want to call it. It's
Yes,
a lot happens in this phase. But
yes,
to your point, we've already kind of generated a lead. They've reached out to us. Uh, they usually come to our office at this point, and you know they already have an understanding of who we are. They already have a feel for how we do things, and they've done this by going to our website. They've done this by listening to the podcast, or what. However, typically when they call us, they're already fairly familiar with the way we do
yeah,
business. But what we like to do is bring them in this part two and introduce ourselves formally. It's almost like a person to person meeting now,
yes,
and it feels like you kind of already know each other, right? Because they come in with some knowledge of us.
yes,
We've usually already had an extensive phone call where we've asked a bunch of questions, and we kind of understand their direction and what they're wanting to do.
yeah.
So it's the first time meeting in person, but it's not like it's this awkward first time we've ever talked.
A
You know
little
what I
bit of
mean?
rapport exists
Right.
already.
So we do that. We start to understand, what their project is. We try to understand what their budget is.
Yes,
How do they intend to use this space? What do they want their employees or what do they want their clients to get out of this space?
yes,
And really just start to understand their project as a whole. Uh, from there, we're looking to start to build a design team, start to build a
yeah,
construction team, build a preliminary budget.
yes,
And typically after we understand their project, we kind of roughly put together a construction team and a design team, and then we bring everybody back together again and
yes,
let the client understand who they're going to be working with. Let all of our guys understand who the client is,
hmm,
just to kind of get that, I guess, a second meeting where everybody gets a good feel for each other and,
yes,
and kind of feels good about where we're headed.
for sure.
And from there we actually go build some hard budgets, get under contract for design, get into construction,
Yeah,
and then move along to the next phase.
yeah. All right. So can't wait to come back and, like I say, drill in on all these different parts because that one has so much meat
Yeah, there's a lot to that one. I mean, that could be a long episode.
for sure. Yeah. And anyways, we look forward to that one. So let's go ahead and move into part three. So you've done your lead gen, you've done your marketing, you got leads. Now you have this prospective client. They're very warm. You've worked up preliminary budgets. They've been introduced to what we feel is a good fit for a design team, and we're all going in the same direction at this point. We're pulling in the same direction. So now we're at this what we would call the pre-construction phase, part three. And there's a lot of things that are going on here. A lot of logistics happens in part three. So maybe you can touch on how this unfolds in pre-construction.
Yeah. So in this phase, and I may have got a little ahead of myself in the last phase, but in this phase, we're going to lean on our design team a lot, and even our subcontractors, because I mean this is where in that part two meeting, I guess we kind of put that high level budget out there,
Yes.
and it was really based on just other projects, just experience and that kind of thing, just to make sure that we're halfway in line with what the owner's expectation is.
Yeah.
In this pre-construction, we're really leaning on our design team to verify that all the things we talked about in the part two meeting can actually happen.
Exactly.
According to code, according to the can this space be used, or can this property be used in
according
this
to
manner?
budget.
Right. and then we also we're getting things lined up like our surveyor.
Yes.
We get geotech reports.
Yeah, do some soil testing.
All this kind of stuff that our guys are going to need to be able to design this project.
Absolutely.
And then even lean on the subcontractors for a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Deeper knowledge of, okay, initially we kind of threw this budget out there.
Yeah.
But what was that based on? What were you thinking? And we need our design team to have that information so that we can budget according to or they can plan according to budget.
Yes.
So that's kind of that pre-construction phase where we're pulling all those things together to make sure that we're in line with part two or that first meeting with the client.
Yeah, and I think the subcontractor, there's again, just like the last part with design team assembly, the subcontractor thing is such a huge piece, and I can't wait till we do the deep dive on that because they really they're going to inform the schedule a lot.
Yeah.
We rely on them to tell us about according to the scope that they would be covering, like long lead items and turnaround times for this and that. So it's there's a lot there that they're going to help us kind of put the final touches on being able to put this package together and get ready to actually go to actual construction phase.
Yeah. So to me, everybody is in this method. Everybody's really integral part of the
Absolutely.
project. And it's kind of a checks and balance. The subs have already kind of put some preliminary budgets out there.
Yes.
So the architect has to know, or the designer has to know, like, how did you get to that? Like, what was your thought process?
Yes.
And at this phase, it really just verifies that we can actually do what we talked about in part two in that initial meeting with the client. And just everybody's important. I mean, it's a huge part of making sure this project gets kicked off in the right direction and gets kicked off in the direction that we all had discussed.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, discuss, that's really a key term there because unlike like a public bid or something where, there's this giant spec book and every sub for every scope is just expected to go through that spec book and know every line, every period and comma and what it means. A lot of times in private work, the design is not as extensive because it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It can save the client a lot of money. So again, with back to the subs, in the design team, having those team members all come together like that is really crucial because I think the design team is going to probably have to answer a lot of questions that the subcontractors are going to have about some of the details that you normally would find in the spec book that, very, possibly doesn't exist on this project.
Yeah.
So,
well, I really want to continue to elaborate, but I guess we'll save that for the next.
I bet.
But yeah,
there's a lot there.
It's definitely key.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We've done our pre-construction work. We've done all our logistics. So, this is the business process. We've generated our leads, got our client, done all our logistics to actually make this concept that this client had, this vision that they had, that they want to build. Now it's taken shape. We've got it on paper. We've got it in a budget, and we have all the team members assembled to be able to execute this thing. So now it's time to actually go break ground and do the work. So what's going to transpire through this part 4 of the construction phase?
Yeah. So part 4 is the fun part, right?
That's right.
It's where we actually get this thing into construction and get to build it.
Yeah.
Something we've been trying to do for months now, right?
That's right.
It's always exciting to see one kick off, after you've been planning and working as a team for quite a while. I mean, these things can take months to get them to permitting and get them through permitting and get them into construction.
Yeah.
But at our office, what the construction phase looks like is typically we bring this same team together and first pre-construction meeting or whatever you want to call it, kickoff meeting.
Yeah.
And get everybody out there and everybody's excited. It's something we've all been working towards. It's the start line, I guess.
That's right.
And we get it under construction. Usually we'll set up some meetings that's bi-weekly or monthly, just depending on the project, how big and how intricate it is.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and set up, a routine meeting, a scheduled meeting. Hey guys, John Kelly here, founder, CEO, Kelly Construction Group. Like I just wanted to say, we appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast. We try to put some good information out there. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. We're going to continue to do it. Please like and subscribe. Let us know if there's anything you guys want to hear about, feel free to leave some comments. Also wanted to let you guys know we're putting together a mastermind class or a workshop on commercial development. We're looking to have a few speakers in the area. We're going to have somebody from a financial institution, architects, engineer. We'll be there speaking as well. We'll end that with a question and answer session, give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions to all the professionals that take part in it. So we're going to leave a link in the description of the show that you guys can fill out just to gauge some interest. We're not going to reach out to you. We're not going to bug you. We just simply want to know what the interest level is, and would love to have you guys attend. So look for that link, fill it out. And again, we appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast, and hopefully you'll keep doing so. Have a great day, guys. Ever so often.
Of course, that starts with the pre-construction meeting where all the stakeholders are there and all that.
Yeah. But from there, the way it works at our office is it turns over to, it kind of goes from our estimator who was a part of all this pre-construction process and all this, and it goes over to our PM.
Yeah.
And our project manager, they communicate with the owner, they communicate with the designers, engineers, whatever. They also relay that information to our supers. And our supers are actually in the field, running the job, keeping subcontractors lined up, trying to keep things on schedule. They're notifying the PM of any kind of problems or any issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And then the PM is the kind of the go-between. He's talking back and forth between the super and design team, owner. Our PMs are also making sure that submittals, making sure products are correct. They're updating schedules. Long list of things. I know this ain't the show for it, but that's kind of what construction looks like, at our office. We set that initial meeting up where everybody involved is there. From there, we kind of put out a routine meeting that, whoever needs to be there, whatever subs are working at the time, typically always includes, our PM, our superintendent, the project owner, and then whatever other people may be involved at that point. And we kind of go from there.
Yeah. So communication and budget seem to be two huge aspects. Once you're in that construction phase, you're managing communications on a lot of channels, it sounds like, and then of course the budget is constantly having to be monitored.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Very important to manage all those things.
That's right. So, all right. So I keep recapping these points because I like you to take the journey with us. We've done marketing and sales, and we got clients. We got leads. We turned them into clients. We took warm leads, turned them into clients, presented our package and our value proposition, and was able to put a deal together. And then we went to construction. So now we've done our part. We've actually taken this thing that started as a vision in the mind of this potential client who we've met and developed this relationship with. And we've created a budget for this thing that they envision, and we put it on paper as a design. Then we actually went to the field, built this thing, and so now you have this built environment where whatever purpose they had behind this vision and this structure is going to take place, whether it's a business or people living or whatever it is. So now it's post-construction phase. We're delivering the project completely to them. What takes place in that post-construction phase as far as like documentation, warranty, and then relationship management with the client?
Yeah, I think ultimately our goal is, client satisfaction. I mean, we say that all the time,
For sure.
and that's where we want to end. I mean, obviously as the project's going along, the temperament, the heartbeat of the owner.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's good. Most of the time it is.
Yes.
But there's always a potential for little issues that can ruffle a feather or two, and that's just construction. But at the end of the day, we want the client to be satisfied. So that's our ultimate goal.
Sure.
We start off, the closeout by doing a final walkthrough with the client, just making sure everything meets their need. everything meets their expectation.
Yes.
And if it don't, then we make a punch list and we try to make sure that it does.
That's right.
Generally speaking, we're pretty good at that, and I do think that most of our clients, walk away fairly happy.
Yes.
So that's our ultimate goal is client satisfaction.
Yes.
From there, we want to make sure that they know and understand their space and how to operate it. So we're showing them things like, you know, where your breaker box is and what's important.
Yeah.
What operates what. Make sure
Sure.
it's clearly labeled. Make sure they understand that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a special controls on their HVAC system. Let's show them how to operate that. Let's
Yes.
show them how to to use that. Let's make sure that they have all the proper documentation. So we kind of give them a quick run through of how to use their space, if you will.
Yeah.
Sometimes that involves subs that installed certain systems or whatever.
Yeah.
But just to make sure that one, the space meets their expectation. Two, they know how to use it and they know how to operate whatever it is that that we've left them with.
Sure. Yeah.
And then lastly, or not lastly, but one of the other key things that we do is talk about the warranty and put that out there. Like, what does that look like? Because I mean,
set the expectations.
Set the expectation, because a lot of times you think one thing and the owner thinks something else. But I've had it to where people call me 10 years down the road and want me to warranty a roof or want me to warranty I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And obviously there's different levels of different things. Warranties depend on the product, depend on what it is,
the material. Yeah.
So that expectation needs to be set. And it also needs to be clear, whether it's a manufacturer warranty or something that we warranty. So there's lots of areas to put clarity in the warranty realm.
For sure.
So I think that's kind of how we close them out. We want to make sure that they have an understanding of, or we want to make sure that we meet the expectation that the client's satisfied.
Yeah.
We want to make sure they know how to use their space.
Yes.
And then we want to make sure that they understand from a warranty standpoint, what that looks like and how does that work?
Yeah.
Because to me, that could be one area that, you're looking to have repeat work with a client, but if that warranty wasn't explained in the beginning, they could easily become sour over a situation that shouldn't really be that. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's why setting that expectation is so important, because it's like the old saying. I know I fall back on this one all the time. I've used it in several of our shows, but frustration begins where knowledge ends.
Yeah.
Once said an old horse trainer, and it's so true. Sometimes just not knowing will make a person mad. You get madder than an old wet hen or madder than a hornet, whatever you want to say.
Right.
But it's if you just fill that empty space with a little bit of knowledge, you can prevent that from ever happening. And like you said too, you can do a great job, have a great experience through the whole process, and then because they don't understand the warranty aspect, you take this great client that probably would have been easy to retain and maybe have business with them later, and maybe turn them into not a great advocate for your brand anymore, just because they got their feathers ruffled, like you said, because they didn't understand. So.
The communication wasn't clear.
Yeah, so that's great. I think that's important. Of course, we could talk about warranties just like the other parts of this process for hours, because there's so much meat there. The one thing that you hadn't mentioned yet that you do that I appreciate, and I think that anyone watching this, if you're in business, this is something you need to take a note on and actually try to do this yourself, is that you have it's a completely anonymous post-project assessment or review of your company. And it's a document in somewhere along the lines of the closeout phase of the job, where you're sending out like all the documents and manuals that you talked about for all the different pieces of the project. You send the links out to whatever team members that stakeholder may have and the stakeholder themselves. And that link can be used at any time. So we don't know when these surveys are going to come in. And so we don't necessarily, are able to say, it's them or it's that person, because it's completely anonymous and it could happen anytime. But they can send this survey in, and give us their opinion on all the different aspects that we ask about their experience of working with us and going through the project, process with us. And I think that's just an awesome thing to get. Like we talked about, uh, a lot of times people are scared to get feedback. There's usually two camps in business. You got a camp that they perform a service or sell a product, and then they don't even want to see that customer again because they don't want to know if they loved it or hated it. I just soon go on and get me a new client, and have the warm fuzzies like you get when you first meet somebody, and but the reality is that you don't know that how well you're shooting and how close you are to the bullseye of the target if you never can see where the shot lands. Those assessments are telling you exactly where the arrow hit the target and how to adjust your sight to get on that bullseye. So feedback loops are amazing tools for people in business to be able to really iterate their product or service and just become just a bullseye hitter every time they go out of the gate because they've made the adjustments based on these assessments or sightings of where you landed,
Yeah.
on the target. So, anyways, I appreciate that. If you're in business, definitely you can create one of these assessments for free anywhere, like Google Docs, for example. You can create an anonymous survey of product or service and list it, in your digital material to your clients and get that same feedback and help you iterate your product or service and hit the bullseye. So, but I appreciate that about you because you embrace the feedback. You don't run from it, where a lot of businesses don't necessarily want to hear anything after the sale. They just want to move on.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, I think we came up with that at one of our leadership meetings and just thought it would be a good idea and to get,
Yeah.
some anonymous feedback too, because a lot of times people don't want to put, specifically if it's negative, they don't want to put their name to it.
Can
So,
you blame them?
right.
Yeah.
But encourage people to use those, use those type of things because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it really, if as a client you're expecting a good project or you're expecting a good experience,
Yeah.
that feedback helps make that happen.
For sure. Yeah.
So we love to get it, love to understand it. It helps get us on track,
Yeah.
but it also helps the client get the product they need at some point down the road or whatever. So
Yeah, for sure.
very good information and super helpful for really both parties.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, any other points you want to bring out on this overall general framework of the process of being a contractor or general contractor?
I know I'm really excited just about breaking down these parts because I feel like
Yeah,
we said some stuff but there's a lot more to say.
absolutely.
Uh, so I'm looking forward to kind of breaking down these parts in the next few podcasts and
Yeah,
really delve down into it. I feel like we've left a lot out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we've set the expectation. I think everybody understands, what we're talking about.
a lot of moving parts to the process.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot more information we can give, and so I'm excited about doing a couple more shows on it.
Good deal. All right. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us this week. We really appreciate y'all tuning back into the K Cup. We are syndicated now on all kinds of podcasts. I think there's literally like 15 different channels out there, but some of the more notable ones, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout. You can check us out on any of those and catch the next show. If you don't care about watching the video and you just want to listen to the audio while you're driving from point A to point B or whatever, then you can sure do that on any of those channels. So we're excited to be there. We're going to continue to bring you great information centered around the construction industry, and really most of the principles we talk about are applicable to any business that you may be in, and certainly anything that's related to our industry, whether it's commercial real estate, commercial lending, architecture, engineering, all those different related industries would benefit from some of the insights that we're going to be able to bring from the trenches straight to you. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Any links that we think we should leave you. Don't forget to check out the show notes, the description. We'll be putting those in there. We need to get a link to our LinkedIn page because we do put some really meaty articles on there weekly, and we also have some forum opportunities there to be able to register interest in certain things that we're trying to do, like put together workshops or masterminds on different aspects of commercial real estate investing or development, things like that. So check us out. Make sure you look at the description notes if you want to catch any links and find us in another channel, particularly LinkedIn. Like I said, we would love for you to go in there and follow us on LinkedIn and read our articles. And of course, you'll always have live links there every week to be able to click back to the podcast and check it out. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later.